All right, so we got Mike McGurl. He is the leader of State Park City Cycling, avid cyclist, avid snow skier. Trying to turn him into a bit of a gym rat, but just enough of a gym rat.
Yeah.
And how old are you, Mike?
I just turned 60 this year.
Just turned 60. All right, so 60 years old, still getting after it. The goal of today is just to kind of talk through what are you currently doing, and then what do you think is going to make it so you can keep doing this kind of stuff 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now.
Right.
So you're 60 years old. What do you do for work?
I am a realtor here in town.
Killer. And so that allows like a bit of flexibility.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
The last couple of years have been really busy, but it's seeming to slow down a little bit, so I'm hoping to get a lot more skiing in this year.
Yeah, sick. It's the season for it, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good.
It's good to see snow on the ground.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I think Snowbird said like 13 feet this season so far.
Probably.
Which is sweet. Like today we've got 8 inches of fresh. Cottonwoods have 18 inches of fresh.
Yeah.
Wind loading makes it 24.
Yeah. And it's not just it's just not the skiing. It's the having water is at high desert, having water is great.
Yeah. There's definitely value. So what I want to talk about first is let's start with winter and then go through kind of mud season and summer. What is in terms of activity? Walk me through what you're doing on a kind of weekly basis.
Sure. So winter is interesting because it's, I think, a lot busier. In summer, I'm basically just biking and hiking my dogs. The winter, there's just so much to do. So my typical week is I do a couple of days of indoor cycling sessions with max tested training. Supplementing that with a couple of days in here, which is important to me. I skin a couple of days. I hike my dogs every day up about a 600-700 foot climb out the back of my house. I try to fat bike.
Yeah.
And I know I'm missing a few things, but
and you're skiing too.
Yeah, and I'm alpine ski race in a master's program, and I do that 2-3 times a week. So I knew I was missing something.
All right, so let's break that down. We've got 2 indoor sessions on a bike just to kind of maintain your seat, maintain your legs, maintain your lungs for summer, and then 2 days a week or so, you're going to get more cardio by skinning up PCMR and maybe go for a proper tour when conditions are good.
Yep.
And then 2 days of working on your joints and weightlifting, strength training here. And then 2 or 3 days of ski racing when has that started yet?
Yeah, it just started. So that's 2 to 3 days, depending on what my body can handle.
Yeah, I understand.
It's a lot of G's.
Yeah, it's a lot of G's. And then walking your dog, that's like 20 to 30 minutes every day.
It's about an hour hike every day. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So you're getting a lot of cardio in, for sure. Which, if you're not aware, that's super important for maintaining kind of cardiovascular health, overall mobility, meaning like just the ability to move around. And a good piece of that, since it's accessible, is walking uphill, walking downhill on uneven terrain. Because that helps with that proprioception, balance, and that's the thing that we start to lose depending on where you are in the country, as early as your 60s and as late as your 80s, depending on how you live your life, which is what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So the keys to still being able to play hard when you're older. 60, like I don't even call that older yet. You just started. That older athlete kind of scene. Yeah. You're just getting started. So you can do a bunch of really cool stuff the whole way through. And up until like our very last day here, the goal is how can we still be playing in an interesting way? Because otherwise, like, what are we doing?
Right.
Especially if you're a mountain athlete. It's like, if I can't play in the mountains, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So what have you noticed change from, say, if we were talking 10 years ago to now in terms of how your body feels or how you approach activity? Is there a difference?
Yeah, there's a big difference actually, mostly with recovery. So, I can bury myself pretty easily by doing too much cardio. I also find I'm less flexible, and, one of the reasons I'm here, frankly, is just to work on strength, because I know it's important, but also flexibility and doing movements that I wouldn't normally do outside of, when I'm doing cardio activities, basically.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's every bit as important as the cardio stuff.
100%. So from where I'm sitting, the three biggest risk factors are: one, cardiovascular health just falls apart. That's not going to be your problem because you're a cardio athlete. The second one that's just as important is a loss of mobility, meaning I don't know if I want to go ski because like my knees. I don't know if I want to go ski because my back. I could ski, but if I crash, I'm going to explode. All of those things become real, and that's where some sort of gym work becomes important. And then loss of muscular mass. So you're in your 7th decade, your 60s. It is very clear that you can still gain lean tissue all the way through your 70s. So for you, where you're at right now, I think the most important piece for kind of your profile is maintaining muscular mass and actively trying to get as much as you can, which can kind of go in the face of someone who's been a bit of a lifelong endurance athlete, because to be better endurance, you want really big legs and then just nothing else, basically a heart with quads. And staying lean is really important for the performance side of things. But at some point, every athlete has to flip to what's more important, performance or being able to play for as long as possible. And unless you're world class, once you hit your 40s, to me it makes a ton of sense to let's put on muscular mass. It doesn't mean go shoot up steroids and turn into the Hulk, but putting on lean mass is huge.
Yeah.
And you started training with us 8 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago?
Yeah, probably a little bit, probably about 10 weeks ago, I'm guessing. So.
And so typically like 12 weeks is where we guarantee like, hey, you're going to feel different. You're 10 weeks in, so what feels different?
I'm already there. I feel much more like when I try to do exercises, like my movement is much better, much deeper than it was before. I feel good. And one of the things actually is just an aside is that when I go out of the gym here, I feel great. I've done some weight training before where I've just been leveled and just trying to recover the rest of the day is the objective. And I feel great and empowered when I go out. It's kind of sounds a little cheesy, but it's true. It's like I feel really good when I get out of here. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I need a protein shake or something, but the rest of my day isn't shot because I'm, overdid it or something like that.
Yeah,
so
totally.
It's really good. And I just feel a little bit stronger, but the movement is actually the big piece for me.
Yeah, just like your body moves a little freer.
Yeah, my hips move a little
easier.
further. I have more, degrees or whatever
Range
it
of
is.
motion.
Yeah, range of motion.
Yeah, and that's huge too. Mike, for what we do, we're called Off the Mountain. The whole goal is what's the least amount of stuff we can do off the mountain to get you on the mountain for as long as possible and as fun as possible. If it doesn't feel good, it's not going to be as fun, if it hurts. And if it doesn't feel good, you're not going to stay out as long because it's less fun. So when you're working on strength training, it's important that you think about what's the goal. If you go into a typical CrossFit gym, the goal of a CrossFit gym is to do a really hard CrossFit workout, get tired, and that's the event. For a mountain athlete, it should be, okay, there's a powder day coming on Sunday. I'm going big that day. I'm going to go get 20,000 feet of vert in deep pow, and it's going to be awesome. And so 2 hard things a week makes sense, and then everything else is to support those 2 hard things. So for you, it makes sense. Hard powder day, check. Let's do 1 maybe threshold workout on the bike, check. And then when you go skin with your buddies, we're just conversation, having fun, getting that zone 2, hiking the dog, that's zone 2. And then your training in here is, all right, my knee's been a little bit fussy. What can we do to help that feel better? And what do I need to do to keep everything moving really well so I'm feeling good on Sunday? So you probably don't want to do your threshold work on Saturday. As a 60-year-old, you want 2 to 3 days of recovery in between. Recovery does not mean don't do anything.
Right.
It means move, but move with the intent of making everything work better so that you can go ski where your goal is just to use everything you have and get home, drink a beer, sit in the hot tub, be pretty tired.
Amen.
I like it. How did you get to here in terms of athletics? Like, let's start maybe back in your 30s. Kind of walk us through what your athletic history looks like.
Yeah, so I was actually into alpine ski racing as a young man, and ended up becoming a coach at a ski racing academy back in Vermont till I was about 30 years old. And at that point, I was just impoverished, and I was needing some income, so I actually got a job with a software company and worked there for 20 plus years. And then all the while I had found, long answer to your question, but I had found cycling through ski racing. Like, you do that in the summertime to keep yourself fit and keep your legs going and things like that. And I ended up loving the endorphins of cycling so much, so that sort of became my primary sport. So I had done some bike racing on and off through my 30s and 40s, even still to today, depending on my workload and things like that. So I now help run a team or a cycling club called State Park City Cycling, which is in town. We have about 500 members, and it's just really just a fun way for everybody, like-minded people, to get outside and enjoy the roads and trails and have fun. So those are my two primary. Were ski racing, but that got me into cycling. And that's pretty much
it. So that's interesting. You said kind of building that community with State Park City in order for you to, because not everybody wakes up every day like, I'm gonna go get it. Sometimes having set up different aspects of cycling, like for you, like building out the community, how important is that community aspect for you to stick with it, keep it fun, like that kind of thing?
It's everything. We've surveyed our members, and a lot of them are there for the social aspect and the accountability reasons to get there. And it's a really interesting group because we have everybody from beginning cyclists in their 60s all the way to Olympians and national champions, and we all converge at a coffee house in town, and it's just really cool to see everybody interact and get that social aspect. And they go out and they ride, and then everybody comes back and has the social piece together. So I think it's accountability and it's fun. Most important.
Totally keep it
and
fun.
My motto in life is he who has the most fun wins. So
100%.
that's it. So you just got to be able to have the physical ability to have that fun.
Yeah, totally. And so the only training that you're doing regularly would be on your trainer in the winter, solo.
Yes.
And the rest
it's actually in a class led by Max Testa.
You go down to the class.
So I go down, and that's another accountability sort of thing, is where there's about 10 other people in this, and you're on your own bike, and you're dialing in your power according. We all take lactate threshold tests to get a power profile, and then so you're dialing in your power, but it's an interval based program, which sort of starts out easy, and then as the season, when we get to spring, it starts to get pretty intense.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it's good.
So that's something I notice kind of across people that I'm talking to, whether it's structured or not structured, most of the physical activity is somehow social, whether it's a running partner. For me, climbing partners, like to go to the climbing gym, I go by myself probably once a week. I would say the other 2 times I am either intentionally meeting someone there or there are people there, and it's a social thing. Every time I go ski, 99% of the time, it's also a social thing. So I think that's really important to intentionally set up a community around an active lifestyle, if being active and for as long as we can is the goal. Like, social, I think, is very important.
Yeah. I mean, they're both good. I love cycling by myself. I love skiing by myself, but I wouldn't show up skinning at 6:30 in the morning on a Friday unless there were people waiting for me. So it makes you get out of bed when it's dark and it's cold, and that accountability works.
Yeah, that does. That does for sure. So let's forecast like 15 years from now. So you're 75. What are the goals? What do you still want to be doing?
Primarily still having fun.
Yeah.
still skiing, still biking, still hiking my dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what do you perceive, because you're 60 now, what do you perceive is the most important thing to be able to hit 75 and look back at today? Like what do you need to intentionally make sure you're doing to achieve skiing, biking, hiking at 75?
I think the biggest thing is just don't stop.
That's huge.
Keep going.
Yeah.
You know,
sure.
just and then again, just sort of supplementing. Like I'm easy to get out and do a cardio fun thing, but I really like the idea of coming in here and spending time and doing things that I wouldn't normally do, doing movements I wouldn't normally do in public.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
don't look over your shoulder.
But I think that's a huge component. Everything I've ever read about it is, you know, strength training just becomes even more important as you age, and so I think that's a key component for me going forward is to stay active outside and in.
Yeah, totally. The biggest things that I see kind of in your age group is if you sit down for 4 to 6 weeks, like the bounce back is way harder than it was when you were 50. And that's just like a result of physiology. But you can always regain it. It's just going to suck. So keep doing it. Stay consistent. It's huge.
That's it. It's exactly right. And just try to, you know, stay as free as you can from injuries. You know, that's another one, but easier said than done.
True. So with the injury thing, that's a huge piece of it. That's where strength training comes in. So if we kind of look at populations in the U.S. from 40 to 50, the average American loses anywhere from 7 to 11% of their lean muscle mass, lean tissue, which is a lot. And then 50 to 60, they're losing another 7 to 10%. 60 to 70, you're losing another 25%. The numbers start to get really big. So if you know anything about finance, you can lose 90% of your stock portfolio, and then you can lose another 90 the next year, and then you can always lose another 90%. So if you think about it like hang gliders, we're gonna decline from 80 to 100 unless some crazy medical technology occurs, which could. So if we hit 80 here because we've maintained our muscle mass throughout by training and eating in a useful way, or we've lost 10%, 10%, 10%. The decline's much steeper. You've got a lot more play. Right. So the biggest thing for you going forward, I think is spot on, the strength training and then the mobility training. The two things that will keep you from doing what you want to do, you're not strong enough or you can't move well enough to do it. Those are the two biggest physical barriers. And a lot of us focus on, well, I go out and ski, I go out and ride, I go out and use my body to do these cool things all the time, which is a big piece of it. But it's also super important that we intentionally train to make our body work better. Cycling doesn't do that. CrossFit workouts don't do that. Skiing doesn't do that. It keeps our body moving, and there's a ton of value to that. But if we really want to stay after it, how can we intentionally train to make our body work better so that we can continue to play even kind of as we move through it? So you being 60 now, you have the gift of wisdom. I feel like once you hit 60, wisdom's there. So just for like your younger self, if you were 30, what would you tell yourself now that you're 60 that you would have been cool to know, or a cool perspective or anything like that?
That's a good question. I think
I'm asking for me. I'm 33.
Yeah. I'd say make sure you have the work-life balance. There's no work that's more important than your physical health. So make sure that you do that. I would have liked to have spent more time in the gym and put more in the bank, so to speak, on muscle and things like that. Just I think that's pretty much it. I don't know that I have a whole lot of regrets and stuff. I've had a pretty good run and had a lot of good activities and good experiences. So it's
That's awesome, dude. Well, I hope we ski together in 15 years, man.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.